Welcome. I'm Dan Sheeran, General Manager of Healthcare, Life Sciences, and Genomics at AWS, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today. We're all here to learn from each other, help each other, and understand how to achieve better outcomes for our organizations, the industry, and patients. I'm confident that the day we've put together for you will be both informative and inspirational, so let's get started. For the first time in 2 years, I've recently been able to once again start attending live conferences, and so I've had the privilege of speaking with many customers and partners across healthcare, life sciences, and genomics. And nearly everybody I've spoken with has indicated they want to see healthcare move towards personalization, as that can be both more cost-effective and better for patient outcomes, including the experience, the effectiveness, and timeliness of care. Patients, caregivers, and providers all want better treatments, more equitable access to care, and ultimately healthier communities. And that means personalizing how we look at health, from integrating genomics into therapeutic development, to leveraging AI and machine learning to improve clinician workflows, to even incorporating social determinants data into care plans. However, before organizations can achieve the mission of advancing personalized health, they have to first develop a solid data strategy and plan, or in this case, a journey to get there. It's important to note that these aren't one-time projects, but rather a digital journey that your organization can embark on to modernize, derive insights, and ultimately innovate on behalf of the patient. We call this the road to personalized health, and you can think about it broken down into 4 steps that you can take: migrating data, protecting data, unifying data, and finally, innovating with data. Today's sessions will highlight aspects of those steps to help you as you navigate this journey, but I'd like to take you through them this morning. The first is migration, in which your goal is to create a solid foundation for innovation by moving on-premises systems and data into the cloud. This allows you to better manage, secure, and analyze your data, and while this sounds simple, it's critical to get it right, as this is the building block from which all other initiatives develop. And don't worry, we're here to help you, from tools such as our Migration Acceleration Program to help from certified partners and consultants that know not only AWS, but also the health industry. Today, you'll hear from peers that have embarked on large-scale migrations, such as Foundation Medicine, who migrated tens of petabytes of data to scale advanced cancer care, and Takeda, who is now almost 2 years into their 5-year cloud-first initiative and have closed 9 of their global data centers and migrated more than 400 applications with AWS and life sciences partner Accenture. In our panel here in a moment, you'll hear from Tufts Medicine, who recently created a fully cloud-based healthcare IT ecosystem and is now running the entirety of their Epic infrastructure on the cloud. They've standardized clinical workflows into a single system versus 6 disparate systems, and migrated 40 integrated applications, adding significant value. Step 2 in this journey is protection. After migrating systems and data into the cloud, it's critical for organizations to protect those systems and data, and of course, ensure that they are compliant. No matter what kind of medical or scientific data you're working with, we can all agree that security is job zero. And this goes beyond ransomware considerations. It's more about resiliency, which includes organizations deciding how they prepare for cybersecurity, architecting for resiliency, complying with global industry regulatory requirements, and doing all of this while adhering to data sovereignty requirements. It also means making sure that your systems and data are available at all times, regardless of the situation, to all the right people. When you're talking about people's health, there is no room for error. Those systems must be available, compliant, and secure. Again, we've brought thought leaders together for you in today's sessions, such as Calvert Health, who will share the story of how their rural hospital utilized AWS technology to reinforce their Meditech EHR for better resiliency and disaster recovery. And on the life sciences side, you'll hear from Lyle and how they have developed a fully automated solution for validating GXP systems, ensuring continuous compliance. Now, once you've migrated and protected your systems and data, it's time to break down those data silos that have haunted research and care delivery. This could be unifying data across multiple health data platforms or across the therapeutic life cycle, or incorporating research data and insights from other organizations. Pulling data together in a way that makes it functional and actionable is a challenge we've all encountered. With purpose-built health AI services like Amazon Health Lake and Amazon Comprehend Medical, customers can work to make sense of their health data and derive insights from it. This often starts with the ability to extract medical information from troves of unstructured health data and create a chronological view of a patient's medical history. Having a complete view of a patient's medical history leads to better clinical decisions and more informed decision-making for providers, patients, and caregivers. And take, for example, Thread, who on AWS is unifying disparate data sources from clinical trials to create more robust insights and predictive forecasting. But it's not just about removing data silos among similar data. It's also about combining different forms of medical data, such as imaging, genomics, and health records, to develop a more holistic view of the patient. Today, Philips will speak about how in virtualizing expert multimodal care, they are providing the world access to evidence-based clinical decision support systems based on each patient's unique tumor biology, and how Innovacer's data activation platform on AWS is bringing patient data together to give providers and payers the insights they need to achieve a higher level of interoperability and put the patient back at the center of healthcare. And now, after you've unified your data in the cloud, finally the fun part, innovation. While in the market, headlines always led with innovation, the reality is that truly successful innovation projects are built on a solid foundation and data strategy, and they don't have an endpoint. Innovation is a continuous mindset. The best trained machine learning model is only as strong as the data it leverages. By establishing a secure, compliant, and unified data strategy on AWS, we find that our customers are able to more quickly develop and deploy projects that truly bring impact to patients and their business. From improving and accelerating diagnosis, to modernizing care infrastructure, to managing population health, AWS offers the most comprehensive machine learning platform. Unlock the potential of science and health data with machine learning services like Amazon SageMaker that democratize access to machine learning services across your organization and give you the tools to do precision medicine at scale. Today, you'll hear some extraordinary examples of innovation. How Grail uses machine learning powered by AWS to pioneer early-stage cancer testing. Janssen Pharmaceutical Companies of Johnson & Johnson has worked with Amazon's Quantum Solutions Lab to discover how quantum computing can accelerate molecular design and optimization, and how Houston Methodist and Paraveda are leveraging the recent innovation in voice through AWS in the OR to better retrieve and display patients' records, execute simple workflows, save time, and increase clinician and patient satisfaction. Now, hopefully, I've excited you about our sessions today. But before we disperse into our distinct session tracks, I'd like to give some real-world insights into what organizations are doing today and what the future looks like across healthcare, life sciences, and genomics. To do that, I've invited 3 industry leaders to join me for a discussion on how their organizations have gone through parts of this journey themselves, and now how they are innovating to help drive the vision of personalized health for patients. So let me introduce Elizabeth Theophile, Chief Technology Transformation Officer of Novartis, Dr. Paritosh Diwali, SVP and GM of GE Healthcare, and Dr. Shafiq Raab, Chief Digital Officer and Systems CIO of Tufts Medicine. Shafiq, let's start with you. Under your leadership, Tufts Medicine just completed a full migration of your healthcare IT systems, including Epic EHR, more than 100 patient portals, and over 40 applications to AWS. You've also deployed Amazon Connect to streamline virtual care and modernize network connectivity to provide a more secure and compliant operating environment. Can you talk us through your thoughts on how this migration is a first step to improve how personalized health is delivered to patients?
So for the audience and the people, just to put into perspective, the task of taking the entire electronic health record for a major system like us has never been done. Why? Because it requires certain type of speed, that the latency has to be below 3 milliseconds. The GRF has to be at a speed. IOPS has to be at a number. Very few cloud providers have even achieved that. So what we did is that not only just to take the electronic health record into the cloud is not enough for a health system or a hospital to work, because hospital not only use electronic health record, but it uses other software, whether it's a coding software, whether it's a fetal monitoring software. So what we did, we gathered 142 other vendors that were important to run a healthcare system. So we begged some of them were already in the cloud, and we took them with us into the AWS cloud. Epic and the supporting healthcare software that needs to be done. What that did, it gave us an ecosystem to run the healthcare organization. On top of it, for patients to access, for the customers to access our place, we have built a Connect centralized call system also running on Amazon. On top of it, we have a chatbot that we put in our app that's also using Amazon chatbot. And very recently, we have also using Amazon and some friends, we have made it multilingual, not only English, not only Spanish, but Mandarin and Khmer that is spoken in our area. On top of that, we also have automated monitoring and remediation of the ecosystem using CloudWatch, which is a phenomenal thing in AWS. Epic System Pulse, Dynatrace, PagerDuty. These are all the things that allow us to maintain, to manage, and to monitor the assets that we have deployed into AWS. So we're not only taking it there, we're not only building it brand new, but we are keeping it secure. We're managing, maintaining, and monitoring it. To do any project, for people, there is a timeline. Some people think it takes a longer time. For us, we have to be live because deep in our heart, we want to serve our consumers. So we did the entire project from start to finish on our timeline, 14 months. After we engaged AWS, it was less than 14 months because our entire project took 14 months. I think it was less than a year that this entire project was completed with AWS. So that shows you the speed, that shows you the commitment, and that shows how deliberate the partners were together to achieve this monumental task.
Thank you, Shafiq. We can tell you are extremely passionate about bringing forward the future of healthcare. Focusing now on a key component of data protection, I want to turn to Paritosh from GE Healthcare. In developing your Edison platform, your team had the vision to pull in clinical data from multiple sources to create a more holistic view of patients and to empower clinicians. Can you talk us through how you approach data integration, data privacy, security, and industry regulations as you built this out?
Thank you, Dan. Look, as a leader in the industry for over 100 years, right, we are not new to data that comes from, in the clinical world, from medical devices. Several of our workflows are patient critical, right? Our applications are governed by FDA regulations. So very quickly, any tampering of data, any misuse of data, any security related issues could become a safety issue. So this is very core to our business and close to our heart. We have a pretty large software product line actually in GE. And in Edison platform, what we are doing is we are, as you mentioned, we are aggregating data from multitude of sources to create this holistic patient data repository, almost a 360 repository, not just related to a specific modality or what's in the EMR or what's in the lab system, but we stitch all that together. It requires, having the right connectors for data integration. So data integration, the devil is in the details, and we have really done that over the years, and it's all coming together as one module on the Edison platform. Now, once patient data is generated from the classical systems of medical devices or EMRs or lab systems, there is the new information coming out from genomics. So we have a collaboration with Sophia Genetics. So the dimensionality of data continues to increase. There is data coming from wearables. So aggregating this holistic data from the patient is a cornerstone of how we view Edison platform and the innovation that it brings. Now, once you acquire the data, privacy and security become very, very important. For security, we really start our product development process, which is a fairly rigorous process. As I mentioned, several of our products, almost most of our products, are regulatory approved. So right at the inception, we have a secure by design approach. We have a product security representative just overseeing to make sure that all the security elements, the pen testing, the right vigilance is done to what we use right in the product development cycle, including the tools that we use. Security we look at as hosting infrastructure. For example, if it's in cloud, how is that hosting infrastructure protected? And then the next layer is within app, how are we handling security, right? And just, do we have the right identity management framework? Do we have the right permissions for the right user to look at that patient's data? All these elements become very important, especially when it comes to patient's data and PHI information, where there are very strict governance standards as to what you can do with the data. Look, I mentioned, pen testing as an example, but Secure by Design has multiple elements. There are some good standards available out there. We look at, frameworks and guidebooks established by RMF. We look at, ISO level standards and those certifications. We drive through our roadmaps. So there is a holistic element of security that we conform to, because this is important stuff, especially when you're dealing with patient data. Some of our products are monitoring vital signs of patients in ICU. So you can just relate to it. There's no room for any lapse in this particular context, and we take it as our priority one in product development process. Now we come to privacy, right? And this is where, you have regulations by country. You have GDPR standards. In Asia, countries are rolling up their own standards. You have HIPAA. And look, we have to conform to this through the procedures, processes that we lay out. The hospitals have their own privacy standards as to what can go to cloud, for example, in certain instances. So this is a area that is going to become increasingly important. What data can you share? Who owns that data? And what are the boundary conditions we put around it? A cornerstone of Edison platform also is the third-party ecosystem, right? So we will host on the Edison platform not just GE applications, but we will also have third-party applications. And this is where, what slice of data do we share? How do we manage the right consent, right authentication framework for that app, even though we have good API-based interface for that data? This is really, foundational to our data aggregation framework, as well as how we federate that data to consuming applications. And hopefully that explains to you our philosophy and importance of this particular topic in the life cycle of medical software product development. And I'm glad you asked this question, because this is very, very foundational, because patients' lives are at stake.
Thank you, Paritosh. It's been exciting to collaborate with your organization over the years and see your vision come to life. And I know there's much more to come. And now, focusing in on data unification, Novartis recently won a Gartner Ion Innovation Award for developing an enterprise-wide platform that ingests and unifies data across the complete Novartis product lifecycle. Liz, can you tell us more about the importance of breaking down data silos with cloud technology and how this has benefited the Novartis business?
At Novartis, our mission is to reimagine medicine, to extend and improve people's lives. And at the heart of everything we do day to day is the innovation of science and technology. And we're very fortunate because we have a great opportunity to leverage technology to help us accelerate on our ambitions. So if I look at the end-to-end value chain at Novartis, from discovery to commercial, there's an absolute need to speed up the execution and personalize the experience for customers. And the only way to do that in a cost-efficient manner is to put the data in one place. And that's where we created the universal platform that allows us to clean and to link all the data at an enterprise level across Novartis. In Novartis, we have 5 strategic priorities, and one of those strategic priorities is how we go big on data and digital. And we've leveraged cloud technology to consolidate all of our data to support collaboration, insights, and innovation. And our end-to-end data and analytics solutions allow us for a broader and deeper view of the activities to make business and clinical decisions. In the past, we went from 2,000 applications that were all complex, integrated but point to point, now to ingesting this into our universal platform. So we're building simplification while leveraging automation and new capabilities to make this happen at a speed that we haven't seen before. So from drug discovery to manufacturing to sales, our data is fully integrated and connected, and that represents a 360 view of the enterprise. And we make data assets to become shared business and aligned with the business results. And this allows us to fully integrate across all of these multidisciplinary processes so that we can get better insights and make better decisions. It's ultimately about allowing us to help reimagine medical innovation to get patients life-changing therapies much faster and at a lower cost.
Thank you, Liz. That was a tremendous program your team undertook to bring together this data, and I know your organization has already seen incredible benefits from it, which leads us into the next area, innovation. I'll now open it up to each of you to comment on this next question. As industry leaders, how do you see your individual organizations innovating with data to advance the vision of precision medicine and bring the reality of personalized health to patients? Shafiq, let's start with you. How are you envisioning Tufts Medicine innovating with data on behalf of patients?
Thank you for asking that question. First, the data belongs to the patient. I just want to be, to the consumer, I just want to be recorded on that. One, as we are proceeding towards engagement and experience, one of the things that we are trying to do at our institution is to make the data available at the consumer level so they can understand, they can participate, and they can control their data. People have talked about precision medicine, people have talked about personalized care. All these are words. What they really mean is the following: that based on my genomics, based on my phenotyping, based on my electronic health record, based on my environment that I live in, based on the language that I speak, based on the social determinant of health that I have, based on my spending habit. What that really means, the composite me or the composite consumer, the way we live our lives, how can we live to the fullest that the Lord Almighty has given us so that we can enjoy this great gift known as life. To do that, the number one thing which we did was to put things in the cloud. So the compute power is there. Secondly, we are moving all kinds of data, whether it is structured or whether it is unstructured, whether it's based on natural language processing, whether it's discrete data. We're putting all this in one place in a health cloud so that we have the information there. That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it, as we are gathering the biometrics data. Yeah, some people have watch, some people drive a car, some people stay at home, but people are gathering data. To make meaning out of that data is important. As we are going after our consumers to engage them, idea is to provide data and information in the format that they will consume it. And the idea is that they will consume the data for their needs. They will consume the information the way they are growing up. So one of the things we are trying to do is to make them participant, at the same time meet them where they are in their lifestyle and in their way. For the younger crowd, for the chronic disease people, we are helping how to manage their disease by making them a participant. For older generation, like my grandmother, we have a different approach in which the data is there. So if you ask me that when you're asking about precision medicine, that is something in which genomics and proteomics will play a role. That means treatment for cancer, treatment for genetic disorder at that level can only happen in the compute power of the cloud. Supercomputers will help us do that. But to do all that, data has to be gathered. And data has to be clean. Data has to be secure. Data has to be unified. And then data can be used for innovation. So to do innovation, to bring machine learning, to bring AI, artificial logarithms, which is the ultimate goal of making this personalized care, precision medicine, and anticipatory care. Our goal is to not only keep the data to ourselves, but actually liberate the data so the data is a hand of the consumer so they can make their decisions too. I have a personal request. When people talk to me and I say things like to improve healthcare and to reimagining healthcare, we need partners. We need collaborators. We need collaborators from all industry, pharmaceutical, Amazon, life sciences, airline, food, agriculture. So my request is, whether you are in the public sector, whether you are in the commercial sector, we need to collaborate with these people of different kinds to innovate. Innovation for healthcare will not only come from within healthcare, but it will come through collaboration. My request is, we just did something. It's just the beginning. I want people to extrapolate on it. I want people to add on it. I want people to take it. I should not have used that word, but I'm saying I want people to collaborate to a level, because without doing that, healthcare will stay the same. It'll never change. To make it, to reimagine it, full of experience, frictionless, It needs a massive collaboration of different industry. Healthcare needs it the most. That's my plea.
That's great. Paritosh, how are you seeing GE innovate to improve personalized health?
No, hey Dan, thanks for that question. Look, we the personalization of health, and all of us have gone through a patient journey sometime or other, either we or our loved ones. And the reality is, even though we are one individual going through that experience, and quite a challenging experience, the medicine and the framework that exists today treats us in cohorts, patients that are grouped, particular algorithms or sort of recipes that could be applied. And we as a company have tried to make it as personal as possible in the physical world. For example, we launched a few years ago our Pristina mammography product line, where for mammograms, the best breast compression is a pretty painful experience, and we let the patients have that control. We have pediatric MR scanners that make kids' MRI experience less traumatic. We have coils that are more comfortable. So from the physical world, we have tried to make our headway into making this very dry clinical world more personal to you as a patient. But with digital, we have a tremendous opportunity, especially once you aggregate patient data in a 360 view that I mentioned earlier. You can really bring in intelligence to it. You complement the data that is coming from images with lab tests. You add in genomics information. You use modern technologies, that Amazon has released in terms of AI training frameworks. And you can now start deducing insights, and the clinical knowledge is progressing very fast. That how would a patient like me, with certain demographics, with certain genetic profile, with certain risk factor, predict in different treatment pathways? And this is the future in the digital personalized experience that we are all looking forward to. We do that in our own way in GE's product line. So I'll just give you a few examples. I spoke about AI innovation that is really driving this personalization. So we actually have not only GE's AI algorithms that we are heavily invested in, but we also have third-party AI algorithms. And how to invoke these AI algorithms at right point for the right patient, based on the scan they're doing, is a secret sauce, right? And I'll just give you an example of pneumothorax AI algorithm that we have on our X-ray scanners. This one, for the right X-ray scan, it automatically runs through the AI algorithm, and if the finding is something that is alarming, it sends that notification. And in this particular case, early diagnosis can have significant implications. So if you are going through that journey, it's really going to impact you. And there are many examples like this. I spoke a little bit earlier about multimodal genomic data and our collaboration with SOPHiA GENETICS. And look, a lot of cancer therapies, good bit of them have side effects, and very frankly, they don't work for a particular profile of a patient. And today's shotgun approach has a lot of improvement, and the science is improving. It's not that shotgun; it is taking step by step. But we can really be a game changer. And some of the work that we are collaborating with SOPHiA GENETICS is combining the radiomics data, images that we know so well. How do we combine that with genetics and have some predictive feel into, is this therapy going to work? It's works in progress, sort of an investigative work, but this is where the future will lend itself. Our command center product has a patient manager tile in it. As a patient, it is very personal how long you stay in a hospital, especially when you have recovered. And oftentimes, that queues. At times you are stuck in a hospital because certain exams are not done, certain lab tests are not there, and the clinician in charge just doesn't have the pieces of information. It's a very practical application, just knowing data from your systems that are in the hospital that, hey, this patient is in ICU bed. Can it be downgraded so my next COVID patient can be admitted, right? And it's important to boot these patients. Our Mural solution on the sort of perinatal side, this one tracks the blood pressure of moms, and if it rises, it gives alert to institute medication pretty quickly, and having that queue to the clinical system in an automated way can have implications in complications that mother might have. These are just some of the examples, and I can keep going on. The CT scan that you often take, you can have brute force applications of protocols, but now we can get smarter. We can look at your records in the applications record systems. We could know, what do you have any allergies to contrast media, for example? What is your GFR? What is your kidney function? We can optimize your protocols based on body type. And this is again an active area of work. We are making the equipment protocols a lot more smarter. We are not going to do this all alone, right? A lot of this innovation is coming from the third-party startup ecosystem. And we have a great collaboration with AWS, where we have exposed several of the tools that GE has developed to the startup community to build their applications and stitch their applications that can leverage the data fabric, that can use the tools that we have developed over decades rather than reinventing the wheel. And this personalization will continue, and I'm really, really optimistic. This is the way, the future of medicine would be, and this is a direction we are taking, GE Healthcare too. In fact, precision medicine is one of our foundational tenets, and what we spoke about just now maps so well to it. So the future is bright in this area, and you'll see more and more applications from GE coming into this. Just to end, I just want to give you one short examples. At times you are waiting for your imaging scans because there is a backlog. The imaging center has waiting time. And at the same time, there are patients that don't show up for their appointment. We have intelligence built into a predictive no-show algorithm, a very practical example. What is the probability that, Mr. Joe, who lives on the west side, when the traffic is bad, is not likely going to show up at the scheduled slot? And can you make sure he shows up either by sending him a ride or reminding him proactively to come and show up? Early exams make a big impact on the outcomes that you have. And this is one very practical example I wanted to end it with. But again, the future is bright in this area. Precision health is our core strategic pillar that we are continuing to enhance. And the Edison platform with the 360 data fabric and the innovations that GE as well as the third-party startups are bringing in are going to fuel more and more personalization of healthcare.
Thanks, Paritosh. And rounding us out, Liz, how are you seeing Novartis look to the future with innovative technology?
As a company, we have embarked on an ambitious transformation to become the leading medicines company powered by data science and digital technologies. And one of the most direct ways we are bringing precision medicine directly to patients with the use of technology is with our patient support services. And when patients are prescribed one of our specialty medicines, we just don't stop there, as one may think, but we also offer an integrated platform that really helps patients navigate through the complicated aspects of approvals, of authorizations, injection instructions, and the like to ensure they are receiving life-saving therapies as quickly as possible. And we've also created digital technical products that support patient treatments. And our connected health, that's like companion apps, auto injectors, they allow us to be more intimate with patients during the drug development and disease cure aspects. Another area that I'd like to share and illustrate is our next generation engagement. Now, that's all about an enterprise-wide, multi-year transformation that really reimagines how we engage customers through the power of personalization, and it really elevates the impact of our interactions with them. So at Novartis, we're planning to provide orchestrated, highest impact customer experiences that leverages data, insights, technology, and personalization. And that really helps us scale and unlock a differentiated understanding of our customers. And it deploys personalized content that speaks directly to our customers, and it delivers this omni-channel engagement experience to create a real seamless experience and to drive desired customer behaviors. But we also realize that while delivering these business outcomes, our digital capabilities are compartmentalized, and it really prevents from solving more of the complex problems. And this requires an adjustment and a tweak to our model. So by putting data at the core and integrating the different digital technologies, whether that's in IoT, whether that's in automation, analytics, blockchain, AI, we've really transformed the culture of the company to become more product-centric in the way that we operate and the way that we're organized. So as we continue to leverage the power of cloud, putting our customers at the center and democratizing access to our technologies, our business can now harness the platforms we have created to build new products to achieve their strategic goals at a pace and speed we've never experienced before.
I'd like to thank all of my guests today for sharing their insights. From here, you can access sessions across healthcare, health tech, life sciences, and genomics tracks to hear from more industry leaders on how they are progressing on their journey to personalized health. You can also access, on demand, a track of sessions addressing enterprise strategy that can help guide you in topics like how to prepare your team for cloud transformation and how to measure the success of your transformation. Please know that AWS is on this road with you, and we look forward to working with you this year and in the future.